go forth in strength.
All right, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. Get in the whip and let's commit some more crimes. What's going on, everyone? Elliot here, back again for our after show for the latest episode of House of the Dragon. Let me get everything set up here. Welcome, everyone. Shout out to everyone joining me live from coming over from the watch party that we have every Sunday at 7:45 Central Time. We watch the episode together. We talk in the comments. We get surprised. We get shocked. We get sad. We get happy as we watch the episode together as fans of this show. As hopefully fans of Team Black. But no, I want to again thank you everyone to join me in the watch party, and for those that are joining us that wasn't a part of the watch party, you can watch the replay. Like I said, it's always a good time. But neither here nor there. I appreciate y'all joining me tonight. Before we get everything set up and started for the night, we got a lot to talk about, man. This is I had theorized about this before we even, watched the episode, that tonight was going to probably be somewhat of a setup episode. And sometimes when you hear setup, you think, slow, lazy. Well, not lazy, but like slow pace, slow burn. Not a lot's going to happen. And to some, that might be the case. But as we saw in tonight's episode, as we'll talk about in the after show, it was more of setting the pieces, seeing the aftermath of Rhaenys' death, seeing the young blood, Bela and Jace make some moves, man, which was very surprising. And we might have lost one dragon, RIP to Meleys and of course Rhaenys, but we got a couple dragons in the basement that we can maybe pull out and get into the roster, get into the starting lineup that we'll talk about for sure. But before we get into all that, let me say what's up to everyone in the chat. Again, for those that are coming over from the watch party and joining us tonight, I appreciate y'all. And again, shout out to everyone that's just joining us live or watching the replay. I really appreciate y'all. A lot of people had very good episode. Best of the that's some high praise, Meg. Best of the series. Okay. We will definitely be sharing our scores at the end of this after show, but high praise from Meg there. Hope everyone enjoyed tonight's episode. What's going on, Justin? Love that Jace and Bela had more screen time and they together and worked with the visuals. I agree, man. We'll definitely get into that for sure. Jace, yeah, we'll get into the MVPs. He made some moves. Out by the popcorn. What's going on? Stephanie, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, I apologize, Stephanie, if you're still here. But I believe Out by the Popcorn is from Stephanie's channel. Shout out to her. Thank you for joining us tonight. What's going on, Silver? How we doing? Love the pushing of Allison during Amos. Yeah. If you joined us during the watch party, if not, no worries. But that was a scene that I enjoyed as well. And we'll talk about the reasons why as we get to that point later in the breakdown. What's going on, 50? What's going on, Kevin? How we doing? Definitely good episode. Nice setup. Yeah, I agree, man. And by the way, for all everyone joining me live, I talked about it in the watch party. If you can do me a favor, can you put a 1 in the chat? If I'm coming in clearly, if I'm sounding good. I'm using the Chrome, which has been giving me issues the last couple of weeks. So I'm hoping and praying it doesn't cut in and out. So if you guys could, like I said, put a 1 in the chat if it's coming okay. If it's coming through on your end clearly, there's no choppiness, there's no lagging, there's no me glitching in and out. 1. Okay, cool. If anything, I'm going to try my best. As y'all know, it's like a DJ hosting a party. I'm going to give my thoughts on tonight's episode, have some screen shares that I'll have from the episode. And I'm going to try to keep my eye on the chat, the live chat. So if there's any an issue, just put a 2 in the chat. If you are, and if you're one of like 4 or 5 people that say, it's glitchy, you cut in and out, just put a 2 in the chat. If that ever happens in the middle of my discussion, I'll try to, like I said, keep an eye on that as I, like I said, do my DJ thing of pulling up the screen grabs and sharing my thoughts all at the same time. For those that are content creators, YouTubers, TikTok, whatever the case may be, hosting a live is a lot of fun. But there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes to try to get everything going. So I appreciate y'all patience and thank you for letting me know that it's coming in good. So with that being said, as I've been doing the last few weeks, I understand it's late Sunday evening. Not everyone's able to join me live. Again, shout out to everyone that's here tonight. But I do like to make these condensed versions of the after show. So as I'll have my discussions with you all, take your live questions, theorize about some things. But then after we're done, I like to chop these up to like an edited down version of just my, initial impressions of the episode. And with that being said, I like to do an intro and an outro. So if you're wondering like, who is he talking to? Keep that in mind that some of the things I'm going to be saying is going to be for those that are watching the replay of this. That's going to be more edited down. That's a long-winded answer of saying that. Y'all probably like, yeah, we know, Elliot. We've been here for the last 5 weeks. But never mind that. As that being said, let me get to the intro. So again, Welcome everyone to tonight's after show. Those that are joining me live, I appreciate you. Those that are watching the edited version of that, I appreciate you as well. If you're ever interested, come join us every night as we have the watch party first is live and then follow that by the after show. But we're here to talk about this fifth episode. And for those that join the watch party, know what I said at the beginning of that before the episode started. I was thinking this was going to be a setup episode, which was very much the case. And you know, setup episodes can sometimes hit or miss for some people. I know some people out there, some of the criticism for this season so far has been like, man, it's a slow pace, slow burn. We got last week's episode, there was a lot of action in the last 20, 25 minutes or so. And I hear people's complaints about that, but I've always been someone that can appreciate a slow burn when shows are well written and they're well acted and they have great direction. And even though we might not see dragons every episode, people fighting with swords, we got verbal combat. We got politics, political moves being made amongst the groups themselves, and of course, opposite. So tonight, to me, was again lacking on the action, but giving us plenty of things to look forward to in regards to again the verbal combat that we got in this episode. A lot of great moments that we'll break down from Team Green. As y'all know, I'm always Team Black, but Team Green has some really good moments of treachery, I guess we can call it, or betrayal or dishonesty amongst them, which I love to see as someone that loves Team Black. But the same can be said about Team Black tonight's episode. We obviously know we lost Rhaenys and Maelys, and what that means to Team Black is huge, is detrimental. And we had some young bloods make some moves that wasn't told to the queen. I'm talking about Jace, that could have went south really quickly, but we'll talk about the end results of that. So I like how the show is setting up. Again, we all know it's Team Black, Team Green at each other's throats, but it's also still things within their own groups, within their own camps that they have to deal with. Alicent and Cole, Alicent and Aemon and Cole, Aemon and Aegon. I mean, where's Otto? Does anyone put APB on Otto? Where is he at right now? He just chilling with his legs up. He's like, forget all that stuff that my family's dealing with. I'm going to be over here chilling with my grandson. So where's Otto? But at the same time, same goes with Team Black. We got the White Worm get into Rhaenyra's ear, which I think is going to be helpful, talking about getting the people on her side. So we will definitely talk about that as well. So a lot going on, y'all. So with that, let's just jump right into it and talk about these first few scenes and break it down as we open the episode with Corlys, who obviously lost his wife. I talked about it a couple weeks ago that when it does happen, and I was referring to, the inevitable, which was going to be one of them was going to die. Again, as I've said many, many weeks, I've never read the books. I know some things, but I don't know all things as far as what's going to happen moving forward. But if you watch enough TV, you knew that the best couple with trust and love and honesty and a good foundation, it wasn't going to last long. Nothing good in the world of Game of Thrones lasts long. So I knew it was a matter of time before we lost Corlys or Rhaenys, and we obviously know how that went. And I was just, even though I was preparing myself for one of them going, and obviously we know who that person is, but it still hurts to see him in this moment, in this state of mind, man. Lost his wife, under the impression that he's lost his personal kids, which we know Laenor is still out there. I wonder, again, book readers don't tell me, but I wonder if Laenor is going to ever come back into the picture. Is he going to ever pop back up at some point in time? But, he's lost his kids in his mind. He's got a couple grandkids left, and it's just like he's lost everything in the pursuit of the throne and power. And what has that got him, losing the closest person to him? So I love that that the episode wasn't shying away from, again, not saying any TV show names, but in some other shows, this episode, we would have barely scratched the surface on seeing how our characters are reacting to the death of someone, the prince or the queen that never was, right? Some shows would have just kind of brushed over it. This would have been the first couple scenes, but throughout this entire episode, we felt the ramifications. We felt the loss of her. And I really appreciate the show taking its time and showing us characters mourning, showing us characters in doubt, showing us characters that are questioning their alliance. I like that. That's what I love about when Game of Thrones is at its peak, at least in my opinion, is when they showed you these characters are not invincible. These characters have flaws. These characters do have hearts. Even the bad ones have hearts. So I love that the show took its time of establishing that from immediately after losing her to seeing how her loved ones react to that was something I really appreciated, and it's something I always love that this show, in particularly, takes its time in allowing us to sit with these characters, be in their head, and be with them during these tough times. But listen, man, Team Green ain't shit. Team Green, I tell you right now, is a bunch of just people that have no hearts, man. Like they have no regard to just being humans, right? We go from seeing some of those morning scenes to us going into the streets of King's Landing and immediately seeing how the Greens, or I should really say, how Christian Cole is trying to celebrate the victories of what they just did, and praise the king, Aegon, for slaying this dragon, as they have the head of Meleese in the streets. And in my mind, I'm thinking, there's going to be a lot of people celebrating this, happy about this kind of huge loss on Team's black side. But again, something that this season has done more than season one, and also I would say for even Game of Thrones, they're giving us the perspective of the common folk. We see the people of King's Landing, how they feel. We'll talk about Hugh and his family a little bit later, but I love that we get that outside perspective. There's so many bigger than life characters in these worlds and these fantasies that we only spend time with the heroes and the villains, and we really don't know how others are affected by their choices, their wars, their battles, their disagreements. So I love that this season is showing us that perspective as they're wheeling the head of Meleese through the streets. Cole's like, "Come on, y'all, give me a clap. Like, what's up? We just won. This is a big W. We just took out one of the most skilled dragons, the most skilled dragon riders. Can we get an applause?" And he didn't get that, and I love that because again, it's setting a seed for something that we talked about in the live after or the watch party. This is setting the seed for the people within the kingdom is going to rebel against Team Green. They are killing the rat catchers. They're cutting off the heads of dragon. And there's one line by I don't know if they put the camera on the person, but one of the common folk say, this is a bad omen, right? And it's superstition is something that lives in the world of this of Game of Thrones and House of Dragon. But more times than not, as we see in this season with Alice, the superstition, witchery, whatever you want to call it, is Helena, as an example that it tends to be true. So I don't think that's just a throwaway line out there as far as the omen of what celebrating the death of a dragon can mean. So again, I'm liking this, man. It's setting the seeds of so many things. There's so many things within one scene that just can be broken down in so many different ways to look at it. And again, Cole, silly ass, think that this is technically it's a victory, but it's not a moral victory. It's not something that people with dignity and respect and heritage and love for their what's come before them, that they're not celebrating this. So I like that a lot. And it as you like I said, for those that was the watch party, it was grinding my gears seeing Cole thinking that this was a victory, but also just seeing, unfortunately, the aftermath of these dragons that are being slayed, man. I mean, Rhaenys said it a couple episodes ago, and she said in season one, it's different when you're on the battlefield, hand-to-hand combat, and people are losing their lives. But when you get dragons involved, that's a whole nother, arena. And seeing Melee's heads chopped off with the smoke still there and blood dripping from his mouth, it makes you feel bad for the dragons. As a pet owner, they're unfortunately, there's the sad side of the war of dragons losing their lives, and this was a sad moment for sure. But I tell you what, man, what kind of made me, a little happy, I will say, is the fact that they got Aegon in the little casket as Dracula, man. At first I'm thinking, oh, is that Rhaenys' body? But no, we find out that is the king's body. It's old times. They don't have the best technology or transportation from someone of a burnt victim, as we'll talk about here. But that did put a smile on my face, like little boy thought he was going to do something. Look where it ended up putting him, which is in this bad position, obviously. So let me know what you all thought about the opening. Again, setting the mood with Rhaenys' death and seeing Corlys and seeing Rhaenyra and seeing the aftermath of the dragon's head of Melees being, carried around the city, and how the people are taking that as not a victory, but as a bad omen. Let me know what you all thought about that in the comments below. But before moving on, man, let me see what y'all are talking about in the comment section in the live stream, which again, I appreciate y'all. We got 51 people watching tonight. I appreciate you. You could be, chilling with your friends and family, or getting ready for the week, but y'all are here chilling with your boys. So I appreciate y'all, man. If y'all appreciate me in return, hit the thumbs up, hit the share button, and continue to drop your comments in the comment section. I'll try my best to get to them as often as I can. But let me see what y'all are talking about. Emma Darcy's, Johnny. I mean, come on, man. All the actors are fantastic, but they are one of the top actors for me in the show, and I should say, does such a great job in the role of a Rhaenyra. So for sure, Otto's was. Let's see, as someone that has not read the books. Excuse me, I didn't anticipate Otto to be gone from all the stuff at King's Landing for so long. Like I'm assuming he's going to be back sooner rather than later. I saw the trailer at the end of the episode. I didn't see no Otto, so maybe I don't know what he's doing right now. The actor Reese, I don't know. Maybe he was shooting. For those Marvel fans, he's going to be in the next Venom film. Maybe he was busy shooting Venom, which would be a waste of time because that franchise is terrible. Anyway, Otto's somewhere out, doing his thing. I didn't anticipate him to be gone for so long, but I also didn't anticipate, Damon to be at Harrenhal for so long. Like very surprising things that I just wasn't anticipating to be split up for most of the season so far. So, but yeah, disrespect. Yeah, the disrespect from Team Green just never fails to amaze me. The common folk are chilled by stained dragon. Yeah, like I said, I love that they brought that up as far as just the idea of a bad omen and what that means to them, and the lack of honor, the lack of awareness from Cole in that moment just shows you his how terrible and how as foolish it is for sure. Let me see. Kristen hasn't looked like a human since early season 1. I guess dragons can bring out the inhumane. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, he hasn't. Ever since he joined Team Green, he hasn't been the same. I mean, the man was literally on the verge of taking his own, unaliving himself before Allison saved him from doing so. So, yeah, war will do that to you, especially war with dragons. So, well said. I agree with you there. Yeah, they are. I mean, I wouldn't say like children, but because I don't know too many kids that can fly and blow fire at you. But I get what you're saying though. Yeah, as far as just like they don't have any control of the battle or what have you. So I understand the sentiment, but I don't know if children would be the 1-for-1 comparison that we would have there. It would be, I don't know, something that people would use in more. I guess like back in the day, like the barbarians and stuff of having a la dragons or having other animals fighting against, like elephants, like back in, way back when they used to use like giant elephants for war. So it's just like, I feel so bad for these animals. Not a good look for Sir Crispy. Yeah, never a good look for Sir Crispy. We don't talk about Venom. You are right. You are right. Too many Venoms already in this episode. Too many Venom name drops already. But let me get the next scenes here popped up and take it from there. And let's go from here actually. And I'm very curious on this relationship and this family drama going on right now. What I'm referring to is Eamon and Allison. We never, in this episode was a perfect example, at least in my eyes, of showing the difference of parenting between Allison and her kids and how they treat each other, how weird they are around each other, so on and so forth, and the lack of like motherhood or the lack of like any mother bonding that she has with her kids is non-existent compared to Rhaenyra, which we'll talk about later. But this man, I remind you, has killed Luke. He's killed Rhaenys. He's got his brother almost killed. I mean, this man is a walking chaos. Just wreaks havoc. I've said it many a times. Agree or may not agree, but he is the Daemon of Team Green. I mean that their comparisons are just almost identical to me in a certain extent. But yeah, man, he's caused so much wreckage, and I found myself a couple weeks ago talking about how I listen. I still, when I say I like Eamon, I like him of what he gives to the show as far as the complications, the chaos, the all the stuff that he's brought. Like I like it from that. It makes the show entertaining, but I don't like him. Let me just make that clear. But anyway, when I'm getting at from this moment and throughout this episode is this distrust that Allison has for her own son, Eamon. And I'm very excited and curious and intrigued by the possibility of the lack of loyalty or lack of communication or lack of trust that a mother has for her one-eyed son. I go back to whatever episode that was in season 1, how she was so gun-ho about like, you hurt my son when he got his eye cut out, and how that was like one of the only times I've seen Allison be like I don't want to say a care mother. She was kind of more pissed about the situation more than I think she even cared about her son losing an eye. Neither here nor there. That was like the only time I could remember them having like a moment and her being like a mother to him at some point. But now just looking at how far they've come, where it's just like, she notices that he has her son's, his brother's, dagger, which we all know how important that dagger is to the lore of this world. She knows, right? Let me know in the comments. Those who are watching live and watching the replay, we can all agree that Allison is very much aware that her son was trying to kill her other son, a la his brother in the king, Aemon, or Aegon, I'm sorry. I'm very aware that she knows, and she knows, but just like she knew the truth about who the real queen should have been, she keeps it deep down under. And we're going to talk about that scene here in a second with her anxiety and her frustration will come out. And in what form? We shall see. But I'm telling you, man, I'm loving this inner turmoil, this inner civil war amongst the family. And man, again, I like Eamon. I don't like Eamon. I like what he brings to this show and again, the chaos that he brings, but I don't like this son of a, one-eyed, what. But I'm liking what this is setting up, man, because this is just a matter of time before they clash and there's going to be a conversation being had. And, I can't wait for that, man. There's a lot of lies between those two. But, as they bring the king in, King Aegon into his quarters. I am one that doesn't scream or get, bothered by blood or, disgusting things, if you want to call it that, on screen. But the things that get under my skin, anything breaking on like the lower half of people's bodies, necks cracking, arms, that stuff gets to me. But nothing gets to me more than people like breaking their ankle and legs being popped in and out. That's number one. But then when you get like people burnt and blood and like goo and pus and that word, number one, I'm not going to say it again. The word I just said is something that I don't like saying. Anyway, what I'm getting at is the scene and when we see Aegon being brought in, they're taking off his armor and we're seeing the aftermath. It's like the face is fine. It's again when they took off the armor and we saw that in the blood, the gut, that was disgusting to say the least. But anyway, within this scene, man, a couple things that stood out to me. Number one, he looks disgusting. No, but number one, he is burnt to an ash. But I asked this in the after party, or I keep saying after party. This is the after party, the watch party, and I posed the same question to you all. Now, for book readers, TV show watchers of Game of Thrones, help me out here. I was under the impression that the Targaryens were invulnerable to fire, dragon fire, a la season 1, season 2. I can't exactly remember when Dany, when she was in the fire, she literally walked out unscathed. Now, Dany, correct me if I'm wrong, is it a scenario where it's like only true-blooded Targaryens are not affected by fire? Is that the explanation that we may give to why Aegon was burnt to a crisp, as we see on the screen now? Or as people were saying in the live chat for the watch party, that Dany's a 1-for-1. She's a special case. But like I said, I could be wrong, but I just thought I remember them saying that if you are a true Targaryen, fire cannot harm you. Now, again, we know that he's not a true-blooded Targaryen because Obviously, Hightowers aren't Targaryen, so I don't know if that muddies up the blood or what have you. But like I said, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the live chat. Is there an explanation of why he wasn't resistant to fire as a Dany was back in the Game of Thrones in the future within the timeline? But anyway, so that's one thing I had. Second thing that stood out to me within this scene is listen, no love lost between brothers, man. I mean, let me see if I can find the photo here. But I'm talking about Aemon. This guy here doesn't even have an ounce of sympathy or empathy for his brother. Like, can you at least pretend to have your one eye have like a tear come out of your one? I know your other eye is missing, but can the one eye just show like a sense, like just a little tear, just a little thug tear for your brother? The man's not capable of doing it. Like he might as well be smiling at this point. Like, what does his face say to y'all? Like, to me, this is like, you lucky son of a, you know what? You just barely made it out of my grips, brother. He can't even fake it, y'all. He might as well just said I did it, y'all better watch out. I'm gonna kill him in his sleep. Like, he might as well just say that at this point. So that is something that I'm very, going back to the whole Allison thing. I'm very, very, very excited, very curious, very intrigued to know if the truth is ever going to be brought to the forefront. Like, again, I'm very confident that Allison knows the truth, but we know when it comes to things being truthful, she don't know how to. None of these Team Green representatives know much about truth. So if that will come to light, I wonder how that plays out, if that's something that we can look forward to. I would love to hear the conversation of him saying, yeah, I tried to kill him. What you going to do about it, Mom? I'm the king now. And we'll talk about that scene of him being knighted or what have you. But yeah, man, this man has no regard of his brother literally dying after what he tried to do to him. So that was something that stood out to me for sure in this scene, as they're taking off his, the armor and the Maester is saying to Allison, like, we'll try our best, Your Grace, but right now we gotta leave it up to the gods, as they say. But again, going back to just what I'm looking forward to seeing, more conversations, more disagreements, and people who used to be on the same side no longer the case. We see Allison goes over to talk to her, her old fling, her old, F buddy, as they call it. And she pretty much asks Cole, like, what happened? Give me the full rundown. What happened to my son? Why is, someone that you were sworn to protect, why is he almost on his deathbed? And Cole has no answers because, again, as I say, this should be the Team Green motto. Green don't tell truths. They're all about lies. I mean, he could have just told her, what happened, right? But he keeps it in. And again, I feel as though Allison is very aware of what her son did to her other son. But I'm also pretty confident that Cole is very much aware of what Aemon did and what he did. I mean, it was pretty obvious, right? Especially when he walked up to the two brothers and we saw Aemon drawing his sword. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, why are you drawing your sword? Like, obviously he was trying to kill him. And I think there's a level of ignorance and a level of denial that they don't want to think that of the royal family, especially if you're in Cole's position. You're fighting for these people, but yet you can't trust these people. So I think in his mind, he's trying to just stick to the code, do in his mind the honorable thing, living up to a promise or an oath. But I'm pretty confident that Cole knows what Aemon's trying to do. But again, no one's talking. No one's saying what's on their mind. They're all just giving each other the look and just waiting for the shoe to drop. So again, this whole thing of Aemon is very, very important in this episode, as we'll definitely get into here in a second. But in the meantime, let me check in again with the live chat and see what we're talking about here. If you guys agree or disagree with what I'm saying about this stuff going on. Let me see. The fact that half his face is gone, just like his dad. That's a good point, Meg. Parallel for sure. Maybe some foreshadowing. I like where your head's at, Meg. I can agree. I think when Allison looked at Aemon and Aegon's blade is really, yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right on the money with that. And more apparent as the episode went on, as we talked about in the scene with the lack of remorse or care. Like, yeah, she's very much aware. But I think you're right as far as when she looked down and saw the sword. or the dagger, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion for her. Um, let's see. Can we address that? Aemon, Vagar were the ones who slayed Meleys, not Aegon. The story is being, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, right? It's about cover ups. It's about making your king look good. So of course you're going to give all the praise to the king. But after this, I wonder if that can be amended, and who took out um, Meleys and Rhaenys will be revealed to be actually Aemon. So I wonder if that's something that's going to come to fruition with the new king that we'll talk about here in a second. So really, really good question. But as of right now, they're going to probably just leave it up to Aemon just for they can have that good morale, have that the legends and how they write into the books of history of Aegon being the one that slayed the great Rhaenys and her dragon Meleys. So I would imagine it's going to probably stay true. But hey, like I said, there's a new king in town. He might change the history books, as they say. So we'll see. When Danny was with the Magic at play, Targaryens are fire resistant. Okay, that makes sense. There was some. Was there magic? Was there magic? I don't really know. I guess so. But yeah, you make some good points. You make some good points, especially with the fire resistant versus fireproof, for sure, for sure. Appreciate the insight there. Great job by House of Dragon. Yeah. I mean, we all know they haven't dropped the ball as far as hair, makeup, costume, production design is always peak for me. So yeah, if you're not a true dragon, you're not resistant to fire. Okay, kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Because of the black magic. Okay, got you. Damon was burnt season 1, had a scar. Great point. Yep, on his back. You see, you guys, this is why we do this, man. We get into it. You answer my questions, and you guys do it in such a great way. I appreciate y'all, man. You think the truth will come to light, Justin? I hope so, man. That would be very, 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 very intriguing. Cole's a cop. Yeah, we all know. We all know how we feel about Cole. Let's see. Yes. All right, y'all. I'm loving the comments. Keep it coming. I love it. But moving on, we talked about, it's the first 15, 20 minutes or so. Let me see. Our next big kind of moment to kind of break down here is, there's some lack of trust in the queen, Rhaenyra, man. We see her main people are not really on board with her decisions, and one of them, I can't remember the character's name right now, but even brings up this whole idea that since you're a woman, some of your womanly ways are holding us back. Like if I was Rhaenyra, she has such a great heart and such great patience, man. Off with his head. Whoever the guy was, you're done. Feed him to the dragons, man. Like the level of disrespect to a dragon rider and the Rhaenyra is beyond me at this point. But she's this is why we love her, man. But either way, speaking of the nobility and just the throughout this episode, and something that I very much enjoyed throughout this episode is seeing the growth of our younger generation. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. Rhaenyra's kids are so much better than Alicent's kids. Is kind of embarrassing at this point. As we have this conversation between these two with Jace and Bela, pretty much just kind of talking about how he just feels so held back that he can be doing more and wants to do more. And she's telling him, you can't be so quick to it. I mean, you're the successor, you're similar to what your mom's dealing with. Everyone looks up to her and she can't put herself in harm's way. And the same goes for you because of, again, the succession of it all. And she's trying to talk sense into him, but again, he's young at heart and he's trying to do the right thing. I can compliment that. He comes up with an idea that ends up working out for him, as we'll get into. But again, I like how this episode really did, and a lot of you all has been commenting on that, especially with the watch party. Just appreciating how this show can have its main characters be in the forefront. Your Alicents, your Rhaenyras, your Daemons, all the adults of the shows get their time to shine. But something that this show does really great, and this was, obviously set back in season 1, is they know how to make their younger cast have a purpose, right? You think of Millie Alcock, you think of the actors that play young Alicent, and many other examples throughout this show. Like the show is not afraid to have their younger actors be able to carry scenes, and I like that because as someone that has seen my fair share of TV shows and movies, sometimes kid actors, younger actors can make or break scenes, can make or break like tone, consistency, your interest in things. Because just like, and there's no, I'm not an actor and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to actors out there, but sometimes they just don't have the gravitas. They just don't have the experience to really make you feel like they're being this noble, individual hero, bad guy, whatever the case may be. But this show, thank goodness to the casting that they pick some really good actors that can really carry a scene, man. And like I said, we saw that in season one. We saw that through various times of season one, and we see that now in this season. Again, we'll get to it later as far as MVPs, but I'm going to spoil it now. Bela and Jace came to play, man, and I really love that, and I love that these actors are growing up with the show, and it shows, man. Because like I said, not naming any names, but there are some shows I've seen where, like, soon as those kids get on screen, get them off. Fast forward, go to the next scene. But I don't feel that way with these kids. It feels very believable, and I really enjoy that about this show and just Game of Thrones in general. I think about your Sansas of the world. We saw Jon Snow grow up in front of our eyes. We saw so many characters. Arya grew up in our eyes. So they've always done a good job of just picking good actors that can carry scenes at a very young age, which is very, very impressive, to say the least. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel about that as well. If you feel similar to me, where these kids, man, are doing their damn thing, and I appreciate that. But yeah, like I said, the game plan is for him to go to make some actions, to make some moves. But I tell you what, who's trying to make some moves in this episode and didn't make the most successful options and moves tonight, and that's y'all favorite guy, Damon. I like Damon too, but after tonight's episode, we got to question some things about this young man's dreams that we'll get to a little bit later. But Damon's still trying to get the army set up while he's based at Harrenhal and claiming that castle. He's trying to, he has the Blackwoods on his side. He's trying to get the Brackens on his side. And they're like, yo, I don't give a damn what you have. Demons, daemons, dragons, any D's in the world, pause. Anything you got, we ain't with you just because you're in alliance with our sworn enemies. So, and I appreciate that about a group of people that just don't care what you got coming. They're never gonna team up to their enemies. So I like that a lot from them. And again, I said it earlier. I wasn't anticipating Damon to be. I know he was a fan favorite, and again, I'm pretty confident that it's probably the same could be said from him. From the novelization of the character, like he's someone that people look forward to. But I was not anticipating for him to have this kind of solo mission with dealing with all this stuff on the side. Going back to, like I mentioned with these kid actors, sometimes when you have main characters not attached to the main story, it can sometimes get annoying. I'm looking at you boys on I love the boys on Prime. I cover it every week, but there's sometimes where some of your main characters are doing their own thing and it's not nearly as intriguing as the main plot, and it's just like, who cares? But I like what they're doing with Damon, with him, doing his little side quest. And I just for my love of cinematography and framing and visual effects, this is such a dope shot with the with the dragon behind him. Look, I don't know a lot about the Blackwoods and the Brackens, but that this tells me everything about them, and I understand why Damon wants them on their side. If you can say, burn us, I don't give a damn. Do what you got to do, and you turn your back on a dragon, that's a bad mother. You know what, man? So I can understand why you would want someone fighting next to you, because that's a bold move, man. To turn your back on not only a dragon, but Damon, he's a pretty wild card himself, man. So I like that. Now, again, I always like to read subtext. I'm pretty good at like reading like between the lines, but I'm gonna need y'all help with this one here, man. I'm still trying to decipher what Damon meant when he's talking to one of the the Blackwoods, and I don't know the character's name, pardon me, but I know he's someone important to the Blackwoods, but he wants him to persuade the other side. Enemies, as he's been enemies, they've been enemies for centuries, and no one knows why. No one knows the origins of the beef between the two. But so what does that mean? Again, I know book readers probably know, but I'm very curious on what Damon meant by persuading them and getting them on his side, and by any means necessary. Like, very curious. Again, I don't know what that means. I have no idea, but I'm really intrigued to see how this particular Blackwood is going to be able to persuade people of his of enemies. I know later in the episode, I think they allude to it, which was killing the men, women, and children. And I think Alice mentioned this earlier. So, like, yeah, yeah, we'll get to that scene a little bit later. As far as, like, again, Damon is just terrible suggestions to people sometimes. But either way, as we kind of get into our next main moments here, which let me see. And I'm just reading you guys' comments at the same time, trying to find the next big thing to kind of break down. Let's stop here. Let's talk about this. Let me bring this up on the screen now. Let me see if I have maybe a screen grab of it. And that is the white worm. It was something I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I'm very, very excited to see, the collaboration between Rhaenyra and the white worm. And again, initially I'm like, I don't know if we can trust her, but when she decided to go back and warn the queen about the twins, one of the twins coming to kill her, she's someone I think we can potentially look forward to trusting, at least hopefully, for the Team Black's sake. But I like how she's telling Rhaenyra about, again, dragons, warriors, swords. You can have all the weaponry in the world, you can have all the firepower in the world, but it really stems down to the people. And she has a way with the people. And I like how she kind of sets her birds to fly back into, as we'll talk about a little bit later, to King's Landing. I love. Now, I'm very curious on how we're going to be able to switch for Team Black. I wonder how we're going to be able to sway the people back to our side. Like, are people more upset with someone that's known of killing a child? As we know right now, she's the baby slayer, the baby killer, as they say. What happened in episode 1? How does that trump, a dragon being slayed and having a bad omen? Like, how do priorities sway with the people? Because they're very easily swayed. Oh, a king this day, a queen that day, whatever. Just make sure that I got enough food to feed my family and enough water to drink on. But, the people of King's Landing are, like I said, very, very, they're bandwagoners for sure. But I am very curious to know what the White Worm's plan is to sway them on Rhaenyra's side, and what type of tactics will be injected to, like I said, get the people back on Team Black's side within the walls of Team Green right now. So again, I'm really liking the emphasis on this show of letting us know as an audience that it is about, while again, dragons, firepower, armies, you name it, is important for sure. But if you don't have the people on your side, that means nothing, because they're the ones that, not to get too philosophical, in our reality, the people make things go. People, us, the people, us watching this show, we wouldn't have the House of Dragon would be a thing if we didn't want, so on and so forth. So yeah, I like how the show put that out there, and really showing us the again, the strategies that go into times of war. I like that a lot, and I'm liking the White Worm's suggestion there. So let me know how you all feel about that, and if you're liking, as Team Blacks out there, if you're liking the White Worm's presence and her advice to our Queen Rhaenyra. But let me check in and see what we're talking about over here in the live chat. Yeah. I mean, we already knew from season 1. I mean, this man had he was being a Drake towards his younger niece, but we already knew he was a weirdo. But tonight definitely solidifies that, and we'll talk about that weird ass dream for sure. What they say, they were like, "F your dragons." Damon's annoying. Yeah, he had some. It was so crazy. Like I appreciated his restraint to not killing those people that didn't want to join him. But outside of that, man, he was making some pretty boneheaded decisions tonight. Very very annoying, for sure. So we'll get into that for sure tonight. Um, maybe he has a, yeah. I mean Targaryens, right? He has a thing for his own blood. Means to force them by threatening their families. Yeah, like I said, I think if I'm not mistaken, we'll talk about later. The persuasion might have been as I was watching the episode. I think that they answered the question, which was when the people came in later in the episode from the town saying that they've been murdering, killing. I think Alice even says it too, like she's hearing the screams of what Damon called for the Blackwood to do. So I could be wrong, but yeah. Um, yeah, forced her hand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I will do whatever is necessary, my lord. Yeah, I like the White Worm too. I do. I really do. Like I said, she was, I was led to believe from season one that she was going to be like kind of another little finger ish, being like for the way I look at um Laris is the way I was looking at the White Worm in a sense. Like she's our White Worm, or she would be like the reverse of Laris on our camp, like someone you really can't trust. But so far, she showed a lot more um honorable things than what we've seen from Lara. So yeah, I like her. I like her a lot. I'm very very excited to see more of their collaboration moving forward. But yeah, let me see any other good stuff here. Right, the ports block the people literally starving. And Madison, yeah, you talking about just like the use? Yeah, 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 starving people. Yep, 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 yep. Agreed, agreed, agreed. But let's see, let's see. Let me get back to our breakdown here. Let me see. Next scene, big moment. Let's talk about this moment here, man. Because again, it just goes back to what I was talking about earlier, as far as the just seeing the progression, the growth of these younger actors and these characters making their presence felt throughout the this big war. Is a scene that we have between a mother and her stepdaughter, and whatever other bloodline ties Rhaenyra to Bela is a scene that I really enjoy, because it just again it shows the um just the warmth, number one, that Rhaenyra has, but also the subtle comparison of the torch being passed from Rhaenys to her granddaughter Bela. There's so much, even so much so in this scene, that we see Rhaenyra telling her that you remind me so much of your grandmother. The fight, the fierceness, the smartness, the alliance that she has, and just the good heartedness that she shows. She's put a lot on Bela's shoulders so far in the season, man. Doing the scouting that she did earlier, which could have been very troublesome. Luckily, nothing happened to Bela, but she's put a lot in her hands, and you know, not knowing what was going to happen. I mean, I think the show has definitely positioned Bela as the Rhaenys version, the 2.0, the younger version of that character. And I think that that's very much purposeful. Shares a lot of qualities as her grandmother did. So I'm liking this alliance, and I like, again, she's putting her hands and looking even from the grander scale. Rhaenyra knows she has to have alliance with not only air power but water power. We all know that Corliss, and Denmark, we need that. Having the sea on your side is very critical, very important. So her just even thinking from a, not only just from a stepmom, relationship building type of perspective, but just thinking from a strategy, like we need them on our side. And she obviously, her grandfather has a lot of power that we can use in this war, and for many more wars to come. So a lot of things going on here, a lot of relationships being built, a lot of trust being built between these two, as she sends her on another big mission that we see come to fruition a little bit later. Or at least I think is going to come to fruition, which is she gives her a case, and we all know what that case ends up being, which is offering Corliss to be her hand, which I think is a brilliant idea. Again, having the sea power on your side is very critical. So very very smart moves by Rhaenyra. I can't say the same about Team Green. When you have Crispy Cole making your alliances and making swift moves, that's not going to turn out well. But I like the moves that the Queen's making, and again, the alliance and the trust that we see Bela having with Rhaenyra is something I'm very much excited to see, and I hope it lasts, man. I hope there's no ill will or no craziness going on between two, because I really like what this two can offer. But as we talk about one kind of mother daughter alliance, this isn't a good segue, but my goodness, y'all, what is going on in this man's head right now is pretty crazy. Whatever Alice put on this man, this spell, this Mike Flanagan hunting on Harrenhal, is really going to work on this man's head. So as the scene plays out, he's having another nightmare, and I'm thinking, and again, for those that watch the watch party, I'm thinking, oh, this is, he's sleeping with the his brother's wife that passed away. I can't think of her name, but Viserys's wife that passed in season 1 after giving birth, because she kind of looked like her, all Targaryens, with the white hair, and it's kind of dark. I'm like, oh, that's her. But as the scene goes on, he's, they're getting it on pretty much, which is kind of, I'm like, damn, that's messed up, man. You fantasizing about sleeping with your brother's wife, dead wife at that. That's messed up, man. What's Daemon, man? It's just unexpectedly just not a good guy, man. But no. That's not who that is. You guys can correct me in the chat. I don't know the princess's name, because I don't know how often they've spoken about Viserys and Daemon's mom. They might have mentioned her in the first episode when we saw their dad die and pass on, the power to Viserys. This is Daemon's mom that he's dreaming, fantasizing about. I know there's a lot of Daemon fans out there, and truthfully, I like what he brings to the table. And there's moments I'm like, yeah, Daemon, hell yeah, bro, get it done. Killing the guy in season 1, the whatever that was a terrible send off for the character, the Crab King or whatever. Anyway, there's moments where I'm like, I'm team Daemon. But moments like this just make me question that sense of fandom. This man is a freak, bro. This is a freak, man. Because I would imagine all these dreams are his inner thoughts, things that he wished came true, and things of that nature. But dreaming about sleeping with your mom, man, that's it's tough to come back from. We already had, we know incest is part of the show, but that's just that, yeah. I don't know about that one, guys. But anyway, yeah, it's his mom, and she's saying, you're my favorite son, and you too bad you weren't born first, yada yada yada. Ooh-wee. I tell you what, man, like I said, whatever you do moving forward, Daemon, don't take any more potions, no more bites of food. She healed his wound earlier. You gotta stay away from her, Daemon, because she got you thinking about your mom, bro. Sleeping with your mom, man, that's gross, y'all. But anyway, neither here nor there. Again, I'm liking what the show is establishing of having these kind of solo side missions with Daemon so far this season. And as I mentioned when we first saw Millie Alcock come back and how dark and sinister and creepy that was, I'm loving the supernatural elements of this show has worked, because it can go left real quick, right? Like, because the show has been so, we got dragons and stuff, but the show has been so grounded and really hasn't touched on that side of this world. And to inject that in this season very heavily, because we didn't get any of that in season 1, I think they've handled it so far so well. So far so good, in my opinion, as far as the supernatural, the witch and the dreams and all that. Eventually I do want to see him get back to the main plot, get back with Rhaenyra and everything going on in Dragonstone. But I'm really liking this inner battle journey that he's going on of addressing his past and his inner thoughts and stuff like that has been really intriguing, at least to me. But let me know what y'all thinking at home, man, about Daemon Sir Freak-a-Lot, having dreams about his mom that he never met. Again, I can't remember what Alan says lately, that you having dreams about your mom you never met. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe I heard that wrong. But anyway, um, what Damon said bites him in the butt later in this episode. Yeah, as far as the what he told the Blackwood to do. Yeah. Let me see. I lost my spot, so I'm trying to catch up here. Forgive me. Forgive me. Where are we at? That was a question I asked earlier, very early in the stream. Jay, was is Lenora going to ever make a return? Definitely thinking the same thing for sure. Stepdaughter and cousin. Yep. Fire and blood. Bela and the sister deserve better. Yeah, I feel so bad for them being the daughters of Damon. That's got to suck. Deadbeat dad. Yeah, like he hasn't even checked in on his daughters, let alone his wife. But at least you can check in on your own kids, man. He can give two damn about those kids. Him and Allison will make a great couple because they are terrible parents. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Jay. I'm like, oh, I mean, it's messed up. He's thinking about his brother's dead wife, but the house dragon like, nah. We got even something more messed up. That's his mom. So yeah, that was gross. They going too far now. I mean, when you kill, we saw in episode 1 when you killing kids. I mean, nothing's off limits at that point, right? But yeah, I realized it was her. Yeah, it was crazy, man. He like Homelander. Yeah. Those are two great, villains for sure with Anthony Starr and Matt Smith. They're both great in their respective roles. But looking and moving past, let's get into some more intriguing stuff about tonight's episode. Damon is definitely striving for power. Early in the episode, he says, bend the knee to me. He didn't say bend the knee to Rhaenyra. He said to me. And then later in the episode, he's talking to, a Harrenhal saying, call me your king, not King Consort, but flat out the king. I'm your king moving forward. I mean, the man's, you would think that these nightmares might put him on a better path, but yeah, he's still old Damon. But speaking of going on a better path, or at least thinking you have some sense of power or control, and you've been controlling your own narrative, I'm tell y'all something, man. This scene was fan-freaking-tastic. We have Allison at the table with the higher ups, and discussing the next move with Aemon, potentially being replacing the king in front of Aegon. And Allison's like, listen, need I remind you all, when my husband was down and out for the count, the one and only me stepped up and, ran the kingdom. I have experience. It makes me think of the line from Infinity War when Lil Key said to Thanos, when he's like, I have some, when he said he wanted to go to Earth, I have some experience in that arena. It's like, oh, it was failure. Well, experience is experience. I can't think of the exact word. I butchered that, but y'all know what I'm saying. Anyway, she has experience with running the kingdom, and she has a point to that. But need the show remind the power dynamic, the sexism in this world, that no matter if you have been a queen longer than your son, it all comes down to the royal blood and men controlling the narrative and controlling the world and controlling the seven kingdoms, man. Allison, I don't think I've ever seen her as a character. I mean, I'm sure there's moments where she's felt so down and out. Her dad Otto making her sleep with Viserys when she was at a young age and having all these kids, and her disappointment of Rhaenyra, of their friendship, and the lies that she had about sleeping with Cole and all that stuff. I'm sure she's had some pretty down moments, but all those moments to me were surpassed by what happens tonight, because she's in her mind right now. Allison's like, look, one son down, mother's son's too young. My dad's gone. This is pretty easy for me to just step up. My dad's been building me to do this since I was a kid, and I get to do it again. Man, was she shot down quicker than I was gonna say a joke about something that recently happened, but anyway, I'm gonna keep that off off the brain. But anyway, she got shot down very quickly, and even her boo thing. Cole came up and was like, "It is what it is, man. He's the next in line, which is Eamon." And Eamon's like, "Sorry, mom." And he's doing his thing, man. I'm gonna see if I can find that shot, and I'm not gonna be able to play it, unfortunately, for copyright reasons. But the way the scene was set up with her just slowly, even her foot boy, Laris, even said that it would be smart for him to be the king while the king is recouping from his wounds. Yeah, as the camera, again, I can't play it because of copyright reasons, but the camera is zooming in, and in the background you hear them talking about their strategy and what to do next, and the camera just continuously zooming in, and there's like a sound design cue of just like her breathing heavily, and just like frustrated, just wants to hear it. I'm gonna put this is the look, the side eye of the century. The look she gives her son, while all this is going on, is classic, man. Put this on a t-shirt of when someone think that they're at the the precipice of just being in full control and it being taken away by their own son. Man, this was a great moment. For a second, I thought she was going to literally flip the table over and go full crazy on these fools, but she kept it. She stayed composed. But I think she's realizing, number one, she feel bad about what happened with losing her grandson from episode 1. She feels bad about what happened with sleeping with Cole, and being that's one of the reasons why her grandson is no longer here, because she was sleeping with the one person that should have probably been keeping guard. She's feeling bad about her daughter losing her son and Helena. She's feeling bad about sleeping with Cole and getting pregnant and having to get rid of the baby with the moon tea. I mean, there's a lot of things that she's feeling bad about now, knowing the truth about mistaking the song of Fire of Ice. A lot of things she's feeling bad with. She's feeling bad about Aemon. The last thing, not Aemon, but Aegon. The last thing she said to her son was, "You ain't nothing, and you ain't gonna never be nothing." And next thing she know, he's burnt into nothing. So it's a little bit of a Chris. So there's a lot of things built up in Alicent, right? And again, not telling the truth. All this stuff is just building up inside of her, man. And again, I don't know what form it's going to take in this show. If she's just going to go ape, bananas on people, but I'm here for it, man. This was a phenomenal scene of just showing the power being tossed around, thrown around, people thinking they're in power and they're not. It was fantastic. And as a Team Green hater, I loved every second of it. Every second of it, man. This was great. Again, the use of the camera and her breathing was freaking fantastic, if you ask me, man. Let me know what y'all thought about that scene. I thought it was definitely a highlight for me throughout this episode. And look, the truth of the matter is that we got a new sheriff in town, and his name is the One-Eyed Bandit by the name of Aemon. But listen, we talked about it a little bit earlier, and I don't want to rehash it, but I do want to bring it up. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but Hugh, I believe his name is Hugh. We met him a couple episodes ago, and again, it's giving us the perspective of the town folks and the people on the ground dealing with all the aftermath of these high lords spilling blood and dragons and all that stuff. But again, yes, it might be slow. Yes, it might not have a payoff quite yet, but I appreciate a show that gives us the outside perspective, right? I'm a big comic book fan, and I always wonder to myself, when goons and the regular people of town, when Superman and Batman and Justice League and Avengers are destroying their cars and their houses and the aftermath of their destruction, what does that do to a person? And I love that the show is showing that perspective, man. While all this stuff is going on with the High Bloods, the High Royals, the Bloods, the Dragons, all this stuff, this man only cares about his family and his daughter right now, who's I don't know what she's I'm assuming, it's just probably some local cold that can kill you because they don't have the proper medicine or can afford the medicine during these times. But we see him a little bit later in the episode when he's trying to escape the town. But again, not knowing how important this individual is going to be to the overall narrative. But he's just, to me, he's a vessel. He's the face of the plot of, again, the having us. We can't follow a bunch of random people in town, because after a while, it'll start to lose the effect on what the show is trying to go for. So they're focusing on this Hugh character and his family. And, if I'm not mistaken, I believe in episode 1 or 2, the king made a promise to him that I think he works with the armory. And he asked the king, can you help us out with some coins and make sure we got the proper armors and proper weaponry, so when the dragons come, we're prepared or what have you. And the king made a promise to him, and so far the promise has not been fulfilled, obviously for obvious reasons. The king is unavailable right now, but I like how, again, it's showing us that as the days go by, hanging the rat catchers, shedding dragon blood throughout the streets, that the town folk is starting to lose sight, starting to lose confidence in their king. So again, I'm not sure how important this Hugh character is going to be moving forward. And I see a lot of you all mention in chat that he may or may not be a Targaryen. I mean, the man, look, I jokingly said when he first popped up, he kind of looks like The Witcher to me. Shout out to Henry Cavill and that whole situation on Netflix. But he does have the gray hair or the white hair. So, I mean, who knows, man? I mean, I can't remember the character from last week or maybe a couple weeks ago, but it was the one guy who was like, keep it on hush hush. I'm an actual Targaryen. I'm one of the bastard kids. So I'm sure there's a bunch of bastard kids throughout the town that were on the raps. But yeah, man, I'm really liking what they're doing so far. And if that is the case, from what you guys are kind of saying in the comment, that he might be potentially a Targaryen, I mean, how does that play out moving forward when you do have all these bastard kids and you got this throne that's temporarily has a king right now and Aemon, but from what I gather, I don't think Aegon is going to actually ever be back full in capacity. So, like, what does that mean for all those bastard sons out there? Like, is Hugh going to make his claim to the throne? I don't know. We'll see. But they have to be using this side character for something besides, again, just the whole idea of like that one perspective with the name and the face and the family to show us the town folks and them in need. There has to be something at play here. But speaking of something at play, again, I mentioned it kind of earlier about just the civil war amongst the different groups. And this is one that, a conversation that I'm looking forward to continue to see happen, which is, will he ever tell her what actually happened? For a minute there, I thought she was going to tell him what she did to their child last week, but she didn't. So both of them are holding secrets and lies from each other. And, who's going to blink the eye first? Who's going to kind of be the one that's going to fall back into the bed or fall back into love or fall back into their arms and the goodwill of the other person? Is it Allison? Is it Cole? Very, very intrigued to see where this goes. Very, very intrigued to see it because, again, she's not telling the truth for certain things. He's doing the same thing. And he talks about how we got to do terrible things. We can't go back now. Moving forward, we have to, continue to shed blood and lose people in the process, So, yeah, man, Alicent and Cole, the once, little booty calls, little innocent love, little fling they had is looking very, very not good, to say the least. But I kind of alluded to it again, just to not brush over it. But again, we do see it from the perspective of the people. They're told by their new king that they cannot leave. No one can come in. No one can come out. Again, setting the stage that the people are growing a hatred towards the king, their old king and their new king. So that definitely sets the stage for that, for sure. But let me see. Let me move on. Let me get to the comics too. But before I get to the comment section, let me get the next scene set up here, which was a pretty big scene. Let me see. Here we go. But let me check in with you guys and see what we're talking about before we get to the next part and kind of get to wrapping up to the ending. And for those, time flies when you're having fun. We've been on for an hour and 15, man. I appreciate y'all. We've been floating around 45, 50, up to 60 people watching live. I appreciate every single one of y'all, man. If you appreciate the the conversation, the after show, do me a favor, man. Hit that thumbs up. It is free to hit that thumbs up. Whether you're watching this on your phone, a la computer, even on your smart TV, you can click, little smartphones and click the thumbs up. I would appreciate that. But also, man, I'm gonna try my best to continue to, like I said, I like to check in with y'all, see what you're talking about as often as I can. So keep leaving your live chats and commentary. I love to see it. And if this happens to be your first time, a lot of times live streams to YouTube doesn't get in front of new people, but sometimes it happens. If this is your first time watching one of my streams, I appreciate you stopping by. Consider sticking around, man, and hitting that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. But in the meanwhile, let me see what y'all talking about in the comment section. I need to stop clicking away and keep, because I always lose my spot. I got to scroll up and see where the last thing that you guys were talking about. Let me scroll up. I think we were talking about Allison to start off with. So I think this is pretty much a good starting point. Allison having a whole panic attack because she's not in charge. What she expect? They weren't going to let a woman rule. They're fighting against another woman. Well, yeah. Yeah, well said. Well said. That scene was great. Yeah, like Meg said, yeah, her acting was great. Olivia Cook, been a fan of hers for a while, man. She's so great. What was that one movie? Was it Earl and the Dying Girl? I think was the name of it. That was one of the first films I saw it in. Thoroughbreds. Thorough Red, I can't remember. Something with Anya Taylor. She was great in that. She's great in the Steven Spielberg movie. She's just great. I think she's a phenomenal actress, and I love everything she says. She's a phenomenal performer. They're also afraid. Yeah, I mean, the man got the biggest dragon. Which, by the way, Vagar took some wounds, man, last week. Like, how does one heal a dragon? Like, do they just self heal? Do they just like what goes on when a dragon takes the type of damage that Vagar took last week? Like, I wonder what goes into that. Allison with the eyes says so much. Yeah, man. Like I said, that scene was just very, very remarkable because, again, even though I'm not a Team Green fan, I can still like put my alliance aside and just appreciate the scene for what it really is. And it's just really great performances, and putting yourself in that character's mindset of like thinking that she had something when she really never did is something that was really well done in that moment for sure. So yeah, man, great scene. But let's see. The writing was so damn good, and the characters in Mirror. Yep. Eternally close, but been away from power. Well said, Justin. Next thing, burnt. Yeah. Well, good stuff, guys. Keep it coming. And shout out to y'all watching, man. Like I said, I try to do the screenshots and share my thoughts and see you guys' thoughts all at once. So I appreciate you guys keeping the conversation going amongst yourselves whenever I'm doing my little soapbox thing. So I appreciate y'all, man, keeping the chat fun and lively. You guys are awesome. But let's get back to it and kind of wrap it up, because I don't want to make these too long. I know we all got jobs and things to do Monday, so we'll go for a little bit more and won't rush it. But we'll get to the back half of this episode. But anyway, getting back into the breakdown again, the young generation, the young bloods, the young actors that are doing a great job. I wouldn't say I was all that excited about this, because I'm fearful of these, Team Black younglings going off on their own, because it's a crazy world in the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon world out there. So you're one step away from getting killed. So I was very nervous for Jace, but he makes it happen, man. He's like a young GM, for a football, basketball, soccer, baseball, whatever sport you want to name. He's a young GM with a lot of power behind him. He got a blank paycheck, doing whatever he wants, recruiting some people to join the team. He's out there making moves, man. And he's recruiting the Fray, which is going to be very, very important, while we have Cole and his men making their way to the river lands, and obviously the Fray have a big control over that. And he writes a big check I don't know if he's going to deliver, but I mean, he pretty much speaks for Damon in this moment where he says, my mom will want you to bend the knee, and in return, what do you guys want? Well, we want Harrenhal, young man. Can you make that happen? Enough said. The pouring of the wine in the cup answered that question. So a big move by a young man, and I'm very, 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 very curious to see how Damon's going to handle that news when that comes across his way, as far as this move that was made on behalf of his wife and queen. But again, I don't want to neglect the here we go. This is a good screenshot here. Watching a young man become an adult, um, the only thing that makes me scared about this, like this win for Team Black, and but more importantly for Jace, whenever something good happens, whenever a character makes a move that's going to be important to their side, especially from Team Black, it's like nothing good in this world lasts. So I'm hoping that he doesn't get too on his high horse and starts making making decisions without his mom's approval, and doing things that are helpful. But I'm hopeful that he doesn't get too, like I said, too excited and going out and making recruitments, because it's not going to always work out like that. So we'll see. But for the moment, we're going to take our victory. We're going to take our, we're going to give him an applause for what he did so far. But kind of moving through, we got about 30 more minutes left in the episode. We get some moments between, again, Alice and Damon, and the conversation being had about, him, helping out Harrenhal, rebuilding the walls and whatnot. He doesn't want to be known as someone that just stood by as things went awry and the war is happening. But very much, we got to start looking at Alice as someone very similar to Helena, where whenever she says something, it has weight, and it's going to probably, it's a prophecy potentially, as she says. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but she says to Damon in this moment in the scene where they're conversating that there's whispers. I hear the whispers. I hear the screams and horrors. And again, I don't know if that is in correlation to what Damon told that Blackwood soldier to persuade his enemies, and I don't know if that is the persuasion of killing the people of the town, men, women, and children, and she hears that because she's entrenched in this ground and in this particular area because of her witchcraft potentially to this land. But again, I might have been reading the scene a little wrong because of how freaky Damon is. But was there a little bit of flirtatious, like a sexual tension between the two? There's a particular shot where like she's attending his wounds, and they're like closer than I would imagine someone that's married, and someone that has all these special abilities. So I don't know, I might be reading the scene wrong, and I don't know if there's a potential, I want to romance. Do we call it that between these two? I don't know. Am I reading that wrong? I don't know. But I mean, don't hold Damon to it. If you're, if he got an eye for his mom, is to say we can do with a woman in real life. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure they mentioned her presence when we first saw her in episode 1 or 2. I'm watching The Boys, and I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a character in The Boys that is talking to people that's not there. And I'm pretty confident that everyone in, the halls of Harrenhal can see her, but no one has spoken to her. There's even a moment where I can't think of the guy that Damon's been interacting with so far, the older gentleman. He looks at her, I think, or it could have been one of those like, who are you talking to? Like, again, I'm pretty sure they're aware of her awareness because she is a witch. But I'm very curious on like if people see her as often as Damon is, and if it is one of those things where it's like, again, she's there, but she might not be physically in the scene. Like her presence is there, and Damon thinks he's talking to her, but it's like through her witch powers, she could be in multiple places at once, and he's talking to like I don't know, a version of her through her. I don't know. I'm going way off the rails at this point. You guys are probably like, "What are you talking about, bro?" She is there anyway. Again, what I'm getting at is I'm very intrigued by these two and what's going to come of their relationship moving forward is very intriguing, to say the least. And like I said, to me, she's essentially like Helena, where whenever she speaks, we as the audience should listen, but more importantly, Damon should listen. But as we kind of wrap up the episode, man, again, not giving enough credit to this young cast and crew, man. But we see again, we saw one young actor do their thing and making some power moves, but we see another young actor doing the same thing. Bela goes to her grandfather and tells him what the queen wants, which is him to be her hand. Obviously he's at a point now where he's just like, being at her hand has caused me to lose my kids, my wife now, and a lot. So, I mean, she's got another one coming. If she thinks I'm just gonna, easily take this offer, and Bela just lets him know, grandfather, man, like your wife, my grandmother, the queen that never was, would have wanted this, man. She stood by our side, as will I, and you should do the same, man. And he's like, he took that in from that, because we, old heads, old schools, OGs. Sometimes the youth can be speaking stuff that you don't want to hear, but she told him with a level of respect, but with a level of confidence at the same time. Like, I'm riding with Rhaenyra, with or without you, grandfather, but I would love to do it with you, and she would love to have you as her hand. So a great moment, man. As he says, I would have you as my heir, and she's like, no, my blood goes through the water. And it's a great scene. It's a great moment again between Jace and his moment of maturing and becoming the man that I know that he wants to be, and do the things he wants to do to show his worth in this world. And the same with Bela, man. Again, not to throw more shade at Team Black, but those kids ain't nothing compared to these kids, man. These kids got some good head on their shoulders, and they were raised by some complicated parents. A strong a kid who never really acknowledged who his actual father was, with Jace, and Bela, whose dad is, a piece of work, to say the least. So I love that, even though these kids and some of these characters come from parents who may not be there, may be the worst, non-existent, whatever the case may be, that you could still, make your own path and do the right thing, even without the backing of you know someone to raise you properly. So I love it, man. But anyway, as we kind of get closer and closer to the end, Rhaenyra has one of her loyal people go to make a message to Damon to see where he's at, see what he's doing, and see if he is still gonna stand by my side, as she sends one of her people out. Meanwhile, while that's happening, Damon's woken up in the middle of the night to hear, again, going back to what he could have said to that Blackwood earlier, was to kill and persuade them to take our side. It was kind of confusing. Like, is this real? Is this a dream? Because he saw his wife there while that was happening. But I'm pretty sure that this was an actual moment, even though he was hallucinating to an extent. But pretty much, his suggestion to the Blackwood is not working, because they came back and said, listen, man, leading with fear and leading with your, quote unquote dragon isn't doing anything for us. So Damon strikes out in this episode. A lot of weird moments from him, but a moment of losing something, and that's power that we see. Again, the big theme of this episode was growth, maturity, betrayal, but also power. People losing power. People thought they had power, a la Damon, Alicent, but they found out quickly in this episode that power only gets you so far. It's about respect and how you treat others sometimes. But again, going back to plans and strategies, we see the White Worm, her plans working. She sends one of Alicent's handmaids or servants to King's Landing. And I don't know how she was able to make out, like, I can talk to him. Like, I don't know if the White Worm, I'm pretty sure she worked for the White Worm prior, so she probably knows all the ins and outs and connects and people that are, with her alliance or what have you, or used to be with her alliance. But she goes up to one of the King Guards and pretty much says, I need to make my way in and talk to an old friend. I'm trying to wrap my mind around anyone inside these walls that we have seen that she could be referring to. to begin the inner workings of Rhaenyra getting back on the good graces of Team Black from people of King's Landing. So I can't think of a character right now that she could have been referring to. I'm trying to remember who the White Worm was like in cahoots with. I know she's not talking about Laris. That can't be the old friend because I would hate for us to be in any cahoots with him. So I'm not sure who she was referring to about this old friend. I mean, obviously we'll find out next week. But again, just seeing that plan in motion of again team people of the town getting on our side is very intriguing. But we see as we wrap up, we have Corliss thinking about the offer that was made by the queen, which I'm pretty confident he's going to end up being her hand. It only makes sense, especially after that great speech and discussion with his granddaughter, Bela. But we have a beautiful shot of Aemon. Man, I feel bad for you Team Greens because this man is just, again, power, power, power. He's looking at the throne as his daughter, his sister's looking at her like, like, what did it cost you to get to this point, which is killing your own blood or attempting to killing your own blood to surpass him to get to the throne. So really like that. Really love this shot. And like what that's setting up. But our last moments, man, as we wrap up again, is just Allison's checking on her son, and he's not getting any better. And I don't want to say I feel bad for Aegon, but she's in there, but she's just like, she doesn't have it in her. She doesn't have that motherly love for her kids. Like it's just non-existent. She goes and leaves, and as soon as she leaves, he's like, "Mommy," or whatever he says, man. Like the human in me is like, I feel bad for Aegon, man. But the fan in me of the show is like, F all of them on Team Green. I hope you burn in hell. No, it does speak a lot to, again, the lack of love and care that Allison has or doesn't have for any of her kids. But speaking of love for the kids, as we wrap up, again, from one scene to the next, we see this mom and son completely on different odds and different sides with Allison and Aegon and Aemon. But then we cut to a mother and son relationship that, has had its ups and downs or what have you. But for the most part, they're on the same page. And this is a perfect example of that as she's reading through the books of figuring out a way of, taking advantage of, we lost a big part of our arsenal with losing Maelys and obviously Rhaenys. So, I mean, we got two big dragons in the basement that I believe are going to be some dragons we can look forward to seeing in the war. So I like this conversation because, again, it just shows you the complete opposite of like the bond and relationship between one mother and her child, again, Alicent to Aemon and Aegon, versus the kind of, while he did go against his mom orders, she still respect what he did. She saw what he did, and it can applaud that. But I love that they have this conversation. He's pretty much saying, like, there's a way that we can make these dragons in our basement, work to our advantage. And the name is so many dragons, so many names of the characters. I know one of the names was like Valimar, if I'm not mistaken. I know something with a V, and the other one was like Sunswing or something. Terrible with these names, especially with these dragons. But nonetheless, I know the one with the V is apparently like the next in size to Vagar. And then the other one, again, Sunswing, something like that. I can't remember. I apologize. But the other one, I'm not sure what the attributes. Silverwing, thank you. I don't know what Silverwing sounds pretty badass. Silverwing, maybe he's got quick wings. I don't know. They're silver. I don't know. Anyway, I'm very excited to see those dragons come into play and see how, based on the trailer of next week, that, obviously you can't just take a dragon like a car in an ignition and just turn it on and it goes. There's a process, right? So, and I believe if the process doesn't work out, you can die, which I'm pretty confident Rhaenyra is not going to die, but it's going to probably be a challenge to her to get the other dragon, the big one, the big boy or girl. So I like that, man. Overall, we're going to wrap up here. Before I give my final Quicksilver, before I give my final score and my overall thoughts, for those watching live and for those watching the replay and the edited version of this, put your scores and your final thoughts and your predictions of what you all hope to see. Again, for my book readers, if you know, you know, keep the book spoilers to yourself. But as far as the show giving, because again, I've heard some book readers say, hey, they diverted from the books a couple times. We know from Game of Thrones, they've done that. So it might not always play out the way the book did. But anyway, let me know your score in the chat. What score or letter grade would you give this from A to F to 1 to 10? And then what other last theories or predictions you all have as I wrap up? I'm going to give this, for me, a good 8.5 out of 10. I think the writing was really, really fantastic. I think the acting was phenomenal. I love, again, how these younger actors do never fail to amaze me to be able to come with the good scenes, man. So I like that. I think if from not, was keeping me from that 9 or even a 10 out of 10, it's just that, there are moments of, pacing, and there's some moments where it's like, not all of it is as exciting as some scenes as the other. Some of the things are playing a long game, again, from the perspective of the common folk. Like, that's been a long game process. They're not the Hughes of the world, and all that is not as of right now, as is not as important as some of the other storylines. And stuff like that. So, but an 8.5 is still a solid grade. So that's where I'm at with the episode. And as far as like I said, not being a book reader for next week, just based on the trailer, I would imagine again Rhaenyra is going to try to get a new dragon or a couple new dragons on her side. I would hope that we get to see what the plan is from the White Worm to get the people back on Team Black, or at least sway them to a side. I'm looking forward to seeing, again, based on the trailer, there looks like there's going to be acknowledgement of what Aemon might have done to his old brother, because it looks like Aegon, not fully aware or fully awoken up, but I think he's going to be, we're going to get a little bit more scenes with him, because he did say mommy in this episode. So I would imagine, again, I don't think he's going to be at full capacity walking around joking and whatnot, but I think he's going to be at a certain point where he might be able to communicate in some way. So does he say, my brother tried to, I don't know. I would assume that that's something to look forward to. And, obviously Damon and his whole situation, that's going to have to come to a head eventually. And again, I mentioned earlier, where the F is Otto? Are we going to see him get back into the forefront and get back into the swing of things? Or if he's just iced for the rest of the season and we see him in season 3, which I doubt, but he's somewhere out there. But yeah, other than that, like I said, 8.5 out of 10, really good episode, and excited to see what's coming next week. So that's going to be the end of the recorded version of that. Again, like, share, comment your thoughts in the comments below, and join us next week for the watch party and the after show. But again, thank you all for watching. But for my people that's here live, 10 episodes. Yeah, it might be 9. I don't think it's 10 episodes this season. I think they mentioned it's either 9 or 8. I think it's 8, but it is shorter than last season. I know that was a big thing that people were frustrated about. It's like, we got to wait 2 years before season 1 and 2, and you're giving us less episodes. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's only 8 episodes this season. But let me see what you guys' scores were and any final thoughts, and then we'll wrap this up. It is hot. I don't know if you guys can see the sweat that the light's beaming on me. I forgot to turn the air on. So I'm hot. I feel like a dragon's looking at me, like the guy earlier in the episode. A dragon looking right at me. It's hot, y'all. Anyway, let me see scores, comments, and we'll wrap this up, man. I appreciate y'all, bro. I really do. Really proud of Jace. Yep. He did his thing. MVP. Yeah, I forgot. MVP, Jace. I said it earlier, but just to reiterate it, Jace and Bayla were my MVPs tonight. They were fantastic. I love Olivia Keek from both. Oh, she was in both. I never watched Bates Motel. I know Vera Farmiga is in that show, but I didn't know Olivia Cook was in there. But yeah, she's great. I'm just scrolling up to catch up to some of these comments before I get get to the more recent comments. Yeah, Otto. All right, let me go here. The Dragons have keepers, right? Yep, yep, yep. They are still recovering for a while. Okay. Wild Dragons. Oh, you talking about the two in the basement, Johnny? And I mean, that would make sense, right? It's like that old narrative with westerns when you try to break in a horse, and it's like the horses that aren't ridden are like the bad ones or the hard to tame ones. So we got two wild dragons in the basement. Okay, I'm interested to see if he can tame them. Jace handled that well. Yep, he did. He did. Jace, Jace looking like his daddy. His real yeah. Like what? Damon? No, you talking about Strong? Yeah, his what was his first name? I can't think of his first name right now, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. That was so messed up that he died. He's like such a good. I'm so excited to see him have more moments last season, but he did thanks to his brother. Really like Jace. Gonna be yeah, he's gonna be pissed at his stepson. Think about this perspective. Damon is losing money in Harrenhal and Jace gave. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, man. Damon isn't ready to flip this castle. Yeah, this week on Flipping the Castle of Harrenhal. Elena dropping spoilers. Was she what Helena say this episode? Dropping spoilers. Um let's see. Simon Strong, was that his name? Was that his name? No, no. Simon was the guy in the house, the old guy. His name's Simon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you guys are saying, yeah, I'm catching all the way up that she is there. People see her, but is she always there, or is it some type of witchcraft? Plot twist: Simon is the ghost. Maybe. I laugh, Justin. Maybe, my man. Maybe we all this whole. Listen, Justin. By the way, it's this comment here. This whole thing, everyone in this damn building in Harrenhal could be a ghost except for Alice. That would be crazy. Because whenever you have a character that's like doing their like side missions, like I said, if you're watching The Boys right now, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a character in the show The Boys who literally has their own side plot, basically, and it involves people that aren't really there because it's all in their head. Whenever you have someone like a Damon who's off doing their thing, and we all know that Harrenhal is possessed or cursed. I'm probably thinking much too way into this, but it would be shocking if all the interactions minus the witch, minus Alice, has been in his head. That would be trippy. That would be trippy. He's been doing all this, working, doing and no one's, oh, that would mean what? Yeah, like, Elliot, shut up, man. Like, nah, that is not going to, but that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Baylor really elevated herself. Yep. Can't wait to see Baylor in action down the line. Ooh, that's gonna be fire. Literally, boom, boom, boom. I meant that. Baylor's a great kid because of her mom. Well said. Yeah, what a good mom. And still pains me that she died. Again, shout out to Rainice, Corliss, Renera, Strong. Good blood, man. Good kids that they're raising, man. Shout out. I love that scene. It's good to see people who aren't afraid of Damon. Yep. Black girl magic. Yep. Stay with me. No finesse, strength, power, and arrogance started making moves. Yep. The girl, Aegon, assaulted season 1. Open the door. Oh, okay. Okay. So, okay. Man, I love it. I don't know the character's name, but yeah, I'm remembering now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that. That's what I'm saying, Jay. I kind of feel bad for. I'm not gonna lie. Um, But yeah, any final thoughts, man? Let me know. Let me know before we wrap it up. Again, great episode. Really excited for 6, 7, and 8. Outside of Westeros, I'm excited for a lot of things coming in the coming weeks. For my movie fans, if you guys haven't already, I did some reviews this past week for the most recent episodes of Presumed Innocence, The Boys. Saw a couple movies that I really enjoyed this week. I shouldn't say a couple. There was one. Long Legs for my horror fans out there. I got a review for that on the channel. And then there's a new Tyler Perry film, y'all. Divorce in the Black, which was a little fun video that I made. I always like to keep my reviews, as structured as possible. But sometimes you just got to have fun, man. Just go off the cuff and have a good time and talk about a bad movie every now and then. I always I appreciate movies and how they're made. I know it's hard to make movies, but sometimes you just got to be honest with yourself. And Tyler, check out my review for that movie if you haven't already. But got that on the channel now. And then, coming up this week, man, I'm excited. We got Twisters I'm going to be seeing on Tuesday, which, I'm just kind of being honest with y'all. I wasn't looking forward to Twisters a couple weeks ago leading up to it. I'm like, oh, the trailer looks good. I like Daisy. I like Glenn. I like Anthony Ramos. I like the director who did Minari. But I just wasn't excited for it. But man, I tell you, I rewatched Twister. And growing up as a kid, I always, I saw Twister, but I never had that attachment to it like everyone else did growing up. But I rewatched Twister last week, man, and I'm like, yo, this movie is freaking awesome, yo. Meg, Bill's relationship with Joe, the little dog, the whole crew. I love Twister, man. It made me so excited to see the next one, man. Even though I think they're not going to be like connected. It's like a requel, like it's in the world of Twister, but it's not going to have like much tie to the original. But seeing the original make me really excited for the new one that I'll be seeing on Tuesday. So keep an eye out for a Twisters review later this week. And then of course, Boys finale, episode 7 of Presumed Innocence, which if you're watching that show, which got announced for season 2, I watched it today and I made a review for it. It'll be out Wednesday. But if you're watching Presumed Innocence, this is the best episode. And I've been really enjoying this season so far, but this is the best episode, hands down. I can't wait to talk about that with you all, for those that are watching that show. I think that's it. I think it might be something else I'm missing, but I know next Monday, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm excited for it, man. I get to see it on Monday. So very excited for that. Probably a spoiler-free review. Might do like a spoiler review, and I haven't done a collab in a while. I might have to hit up the homies and do like a spoiler discussion type of pre-recorded or live or something for Deadpool and Wolverine, because I'm really very much excited for that film. So a lot of things to look forward to in the coming weeks, man. And like I said, the stuff on the channel now you can enjoy, stuff I got coming out this week and the week after. So always keep it moving over here, man. I always try to keep updated with all the fun stuff, because I love chopping it up with y'all. But anyway, let me get off my soapbox and finish up these comments here, and we'll wrap it up. So scores, we got Meg with a 9, we got an 8, we got an 8.5, we got a 9/A. Last week was an 8, this week was a 9. Okay, we got 7.8. 6 some points off from yeah. We got an 8 across the board. So we'll see. I haven't given a 10 yet this season. 10s are hard to come across, but yeah. Johnny 9. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Hugh. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it's a payoff. You got fired. Yeah. He got fired, man. All right, Meg. I don't know if you're probably gone by now, because that was like 10 minutes ago, but have a good night, Meg. Oh, thank you. I appreciate y'all. Otto said, freak that kingdom. HBO always has great production value. It's interesting how the season kind of reflect this year's. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, heroin, heroin strong. Yeah, thank you. He was great. Divorce in Black was something else, man. I watched Tyler because of you. Oh, you watched it? Don't blame me. Listen, if you watch the movie, you know that first opening scene had me in tears for all the wrong reasons because that scene was ridiculous. He can't stop, won't stop. Tyler be trolling. Yeah, he be trolling. Megan Good has definitely had a week. Yeah, if you're talking about the what's the light skinned dude, Michael, whatever, the hug, yeah. Which by the way, I was like, that's messed up, man. Light skins be out here crazy. But I saw another angle that he actually dabbed up Jonathan first, and then he did which still look, I'm a very confident person when I'm in a relationship. I don't jealousy is really hard for me to formulate, so I don't really like jealous people and stuff like that. But you know, I mean, my man hugged, picked her up. I mean, that's anyway. That was funny. That was funny. Oh man, Twister is really good. Scene account. Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed um that rewatch. Really, 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 really enjoy it. Um, Season 2, yeah, I talk about it in my new video. No, it's watch the video that coming up soon to explain the season 2 of it all. Original Twister is dope. Yeah, looking to the boys. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, A Train and Ashley Lynn. Yeah, light skin home. Man, diabolical, I tell you. All right, y'all, listen. You guys are dope. Like I said, these are like 3 hours of streams back to back. Live watch party was so much fun. Appreciate y'all to tune in. And for those that are maybe watching a replay of that. And then these are, even more fun because I get to interact with you all a little bit more. And there's, conversation going on and what have you. So I appreciate y'all, man. This is always fun. Fun streams, back to back streams, always a good time. And I really do mean it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Y'all make it so much fun. I'm looking at my dog doing the Michael Myers head tilt. But again, this week I'm going to edit this video down to like a condensed version of the replay of this. I'm going to be seeing Swishers on Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. Resume Innocence, episode 7, Fire. I've seen The Boys, episode 8 finale. I won't get into good, bad, all that stuff, but excited to talk about that with you all. And gearing up for Deadpool and Wolverine. A lot of good stuff to come, man. On that note, you all are great. You all are awesome. Be safe. Be nice to someone. And remember to look both ways before you cross the street. Always something to remember. Keep me safe out there, y'all. Other than that, y'all have been awesome. Catch you later.